Okay, so we're in the next chapter, still in Unit 3 on speaking of natural resources, but we're in the next chapter talking about land use. So it'll mostly be the focus on forest and forested areas. We will talk a little bit about grasslands, national parks, things like that. And the objective is here, we read about it in class. We Okay, so to the notes. The first one here shows the human impacts on terrestrial biodiversity. So this whole chapter is speaking more about the process of preserving an area, an entire ecosystem, and through that you will maintain and protect biodiversity. Okay, so as the human population increases in size and increases in its resource use, our human activities also increase, right? Agriculture, industry, economic production, and consumption, recreation. So direct effects are degradation, and destruction of natural ecosystems. So the difference, right? Degradation is, right, to make it worse, whereas destruction means to get rid of it. Alteration of natural chemical cycles and energy flows. So these are things like the nitrogen cycle and the phosphorus cycle and the carbon cycle, things like that. Changes in number and distribution of species, so there's biodiversity loss. Pollution of air, water, and soil. Indirect effects are climate change, right? So pollution of air, water, and soil can lead to climate change, not so much soil, right? And then another indirect effect is loss of biodiversity. So these are the services. So forests are one of those natural capitals. So these are the services that forests provide. And they're split up, like most things are, to be into two categories, right? This is the ecological, and this is the, economic. So there are a few types of forests that we'll speak about. First is old growth forest. So this is uncut, regenerated, or regenerated forest that has not been seriously disturbed for several hundreds of years, right? So we have very few of those here on the East Coast, right? But there's tons of them, like the redwood forest, things like that. Out west, where you'll see them, right? Trees that have the trunk so big that a car could fit through. Right, those are those amazing things that we don't see on this side of the country. Next, you have second growth forests. So this is a strand of trees resulting from natural secondary succession. And so, just a reminder, secondary succession means that there was a disturbance, but the soil remained. Right, so this would be things like from a fire or from an abandoned farmland. Okay. Then finally, we have tree plantations. You'll also hear these speak of as tree farms. So these are planted stands of a particular tree species. Okay, very similar to aquaculture, right? Where you find the species you want and you grow it and you use it just for harvesting, not necessarily to make a forest. So natural capital degradation. So increased soil fertility so what happens when you deforest, right? So this is all specific to how the natural capital of forests can be degraded. And this is one area they're talking about is deforestation. So decreased soil fertility from erosion because when soil is eroded, that fertile top layer or layers, right? If you remember from the soil, that would be the O and A horizons. are the things that move, and that's what are that the things that are moved right through erosion. Runoff from soil into aquatic ecosystems. So this leads to an increase in sediment, right, or sedimentation, which leads to an increase in which could not increase. I can erase. Which could change water depths, which could then change, it could change deltas, the sum for change. It could change the temperature of the water, or the sun exposure of organisms in the water. Okay, etc. Premature extinct species with specialized niches, right? And so these are mostly that their specialized niches include forest areas. Next, also habitat, migratory, right, nothing else to say about that. Regional climate change from extensive clearing. So you have your increase of CO2, which gives you increase of greenhouse gases, which leads to an increase in trapped heat. So it reduces CO2 in the atmosphere, very similar, right? The trees aren't there to take it out, so it comes up. And then acceleration of flooding, recognizing that the tree roots help soak up the water. There's